Garry Paskwietz and Darrell Rideaux here outside of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum after a very nice USC win over Stanford, 42-24. And Darrell, so many things to like about this game, but what we're going to start off at the top is just talking about the physicality. So I saw someone after the game who said, finally, we punched them back in the mouth. I think that's what you have to take away from this football game.
And that comment and that statement alone, Garry, is not an understatement. We're talking about Stanford being the bully from the north, coming into the Coliseum and virtually having its way over a decade long. So this game early in the season, having it circled, really it was an identity checker. What would this team, the makeup of this U.S. team really be? And they showed a physicality that I did not expect. I thought last week they showed glimpses of it, but today they truly brought the fight to Stanford.
And let's talk about some of the offensive numbers. 309 yards rushing, 316 passing. That's 625 total. That's a big number. Coach Helton was talking about 10 of 12 third downs. And the reason that is important, Darrell, is you're maintaining drives.
Right.
You're keeping the Stanford offense off the field.
Right. And you knew that Sam Darnold wasn't going to have 2 games where he played under his standards. You knew he was going to come back. But boy, Garry, you talked about that balance of the running game. And it wasn't just the likes of a Rideaux or the likes of Carr, but it was the complementary players that came in, and it seemed as though every running back that rotated in came in fresher and delivered and imposed its will. And I loved the physicality that we saw led by the offensive line.
And let's also give credit to that offensive line for their pass protection. I thought they did a great job. Sam was running around doing his thing, but boy, were they opening up some holes tonight, so great job there. Let's flip it over to the other side. Darrell, you got to love what you saw from your Trojan defense. Except for really that 75-yard run on the first possession, the Cardinal didn't do a whole heck of a lot.
And you know, again, when you're going up against a bully that's had your number, sometimes a play early in the game, the way that Love scattered for that touchdown can have a lingering effect. But the way that this team showed resilience, came back, made a few corrections, and kudos to this defensive staff. The way that they made in-game adjustments, they slanted the line right before the snap, really disrupted, I thought, the rhythm of Stanford. And again, we talked about playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. This defense, led by Rashad Green, came in with bad intentions the whole first half.
And let's talk about a couple guys, just a couple individual players on defense. Rasheem Green, Uchenna Nwosu, and Jackie Jones, your poly guy, I thought really was sticking his nose in there tonight.
Let's face it, whenever you flip an offensive side, an offensive guy to the other side of the ball, sometimes when it comes to tackling, it becomes a business decision. But today, Jackie put on his big pads, and he showed up, and he showed out. And this defense needed that from a complimentary player such as himself, because when you're playing up against a team as physical as Stanford, it takes all 11 hats around the ball, and he had some really great open field tackles, and I thought that he earned his stripes today as a defender.
Yeah, this is the game you saw when the USC players came out of the locker room tonight and walking up the tunnel. There was such a look of satisfaction on their faces. It wasn't a loud locker room. It wasn't a lot of celebration. It was, we needed this one, and they were spent when they came out of that locker room.
For me, Garry, this was a signature victory, and if you were to listen to Coach Shaw from Stanford before the game, and he talked about, and I can only imagine, he talked about winning the turnover battles and really controlling the line of scrimmage. And for them to win the turnover battle but lose the line of scrimmage, if you were to ask him which one would you rather have, he would say he did not like the way that his team got out physical. And so kudos to USC and the mentality that they came into this game, because not only was this a signature game, but in terms of the standings within the Pac-12, this was a very defining early season game, and I think that it sends a resounding message throughout.
Trojans 2-0, Texas coming up next week, but we'll worry about that tomorrow. Tonight is a day to celebrate this one. USC 42, Stanford 24. For Darrell Rideaux, this is Garry Paskwietz. You're watching WeAreSC.